This is Good Enough for God, a podcast about God and how he partners with imperfect people like me. I'm your imperfect host, Dana, and I'm so glad you're here. And I have a guest today, and she is in Maryland. Welcome, Meme Mulugeta.
Thank you, Dana.
And that's a great name. Meme is spelled Meme, which I think makes complete sense.
Instead of am I? I know, and I get that all the time.
Yeah, so congratulations on that. Yeah, I'm Dana, Dayna, which I also think is a sensible spelling. Yeah,
I agree.
thanks, Mom. Yeah. So, how are things in Maryland, Mimi?
Hot. It's very hot out here, but it's great.
Does it get
Mhm.
humid?
It does all the time.
I wouldn't think so. Are you close to the water?
We're about 2 hours away from the water, but the pollen count is pretty high in this area, and it's humid enough to me.
Well, it sounds a lot like Ohio, so we can
Yeah.
share that misery. Okay. Are you from Maryland originally?
I am not. By heritage, I'm from Ethiopia, but I was raised in New York.
Okay. So you were born in Ethiopia?
Yeah,
Okay. When did you come here?
when I was 3.
Okay, so you don't
Yeah.
remember probably much from there, okay.
No.
So Mimi, you are the CEO and founder of the one and only publishing company and the founder of the Legacy Project, and I have lots of questions about what all that is and what you're doing, but first we have to talk about pickleball because I know you play pickleball.
I do, and I love it.
Are you really good?
I would say I'm average. We'll get a few rounds in with me, but not as much as I used to. I was agile when I was younger.
Okay,
We just play for fun. Yeah.
okay, that's good. Alright, so you're not super competitive?
No, not at all.
Okay. So I would enjoy playing with you, like, you wouldn't be trash talking on the court.
Oh, no. I'm encouraging. I encourage my teammates and, like, the people who I play against. I'm like, "You did a great job," So it's fun. It's friendly.
That's good. Are there any other sports that you like to play or watch?
Um, I used to play tennis when I was younger. I was
Yeah,
on a
me too.
team,
Okay.
so that was fun, but not so much anymore. Not as much. I don't watch as much as I used to.
I'm trying to think what teams are in Maryland. What sports teams? Are there any sports teams in Maryland? Like for
Course.
wait, oh,
Oh,
duh,
wait.
Baltimore. Huh, okay,
Yeah.
Baltimore's in Maryland. The Ravens. Are
Mhm.
you a Ravens fan?
No.
Okay, that's good. I'm a Bengals fan, so I'm not a Ravens fan either. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Orioles.
Yep, we have the Oreos, yes.
Okay.
And the Maryland area where I live, we consider DC, Maryland, and Virginia all in one. We call it the DMV. So, the Capitals, and now I don't even know what they're called anymore. They used to be called the Redskins, the
Yeah,
Commanders.
the
Yep.
Commanders,
So,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah.
That's right, you got all that, okay. Okay, so Mimi, tell me about the one and only publishing company. Why the name, and what are you publishing? What are you doing?
Yeah, the one and only publishing company came truly from the Lord. It was a complete download from the Lord to start this publishing company and create books in His name through His people that focus on uplifting and inspiring and encouraging, as well as transforming people. So, what the one and only means is it actually derives from John 3:16, for God gave his one and only son. And
Mm,
it has been something that I never thought I would ever be in publishing, ever. It never crossed my mind, not one time.
okay,
But as soon as I got the download from the Lord, it was a 10-year download. I went ahead and just started moving. 5 days before I got let go from my job, this download
okay.
came. And then 5 days later, I got let go, and I was like, "Okay, God, you gave me this plan for a reason at the most opportune time," and I just went full throttle after that.
What were you doing before?
I was in finance.
Okay.
I was in finance for 20 years, and, I always had, like, businesses on the side, so I was very comfortable with starting businesses, but you know how you always get, like, sometimes if you think of a problem that you're facing, you would say to yourself, "You know, it would be a really good idea to start a business doing this, that, and a third." You know, those thoughts that you come in your mind, you're like, "It would be cool if someone created this." Publishing was just not one of those things, and, that's when I knew it had to be from the Lord because it wasn't something that was truly, something I ever thought I would ever start.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Wow. So you've actually written a book, is that right?
that's right. So
Okay.
about 3 or 4 months, I had been asking the Lord after I gave my life to the Lord, I asked the Lord for creative ideas to serve him, and this is long before the publishing company ever came into play.
Okay. Wow.
The Lord kept telling me, "Write a book," and I was just like, "What? I must be hearing something else." Because 1, I love to write, like, journal, but it was never
Mhm.
a thought in my mind to write a book, and eventually, the Lord kept pushing me to write it. I had a dream about writing a book, and then I was just like, "You know what? Let me just be obedient and write this book." No intentions to publish it, just being obedient, just to move forward and do what the Lord has told me to do. And so after I wrote it, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm publishing this. And
Why?
then it was just every chapter came from a topic that the Lord brought into remembrance that I never thought about, like, I never took it back to God. You know how sometimes when you go through something and you don't understand why those things are happening to you, but then God finally gets you through it and you're like, "Whew, I got through it," and then you kinda move on? God
Yeah.
was bringing back those situations and showing me the thread of how I ended up getting back into his hands, and so I think
Wow.
that those moments were very raw for me, and those moments were things that were not something I wanted the world to see. So I
Okay.
wrote it because the Holy Spirit told me to write about it,
Mhm.
and then I ended up not doing anything with it for, over, like, 8 or 9 months until the Lord told me to publish it.
So you felt like you needed to kinda wait on his time. He's like, "Okay, write it." You wrote it, and then he was like, "Okay, don't publish it yet." Was it a timing thing?
It wasn't that he said, "Don't publish it." He just didn't say anything about it. All I felt the Lord was telling me, to be honest with you, I just really believe God was grooming me to understand what it meant to be obedient, to kind of step into what he wants me to do with no questions asked so that he could build me up to the place where I ended up starting this publishing company. Because had I not gone through those steps and really tuned my ear to his voice to understand what he wanted and know that that came from him, I
Mhm.
probably would have not moved so swiftly into the publishing company. But because I had very short, like, sprints of him telling me to do something, and then
Mhm.
eventually I do it, tell me to do something else, and eventually I did it.
Okay.
When it became this big, crazy 10-year plan, it was
Mm.
easy because he set me up to understand it truly is his voice.
It's so amazing the way he works, and so you'd say this took, like, 10 years? It was a process of that long?
Well, no, this was I gave my life to the Lord rededicated my life to the Lord in 2023, and
Okay.
he has been sort of building me up since then, and the 10-year plan for this publishing company literally came in 2024, and so, yeah,
This is all very new.
still new, very new.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Mimi, what is the name of your book?
Yeah, the book is called Testified Steps, and it's for believers who are new and believers who are feeling a bit stagnant in their spiritual walk with the Lord,
Okay.
to reignite those things that have been sitting dormant in them, to remind them of the life that the Lord has brought them through. And it's really meant for you to recount the goodness of the Lord in your life. And then also to know that you're not walking this journey alone. And so many people have really walked this path that you probably will walk through as a new believer as well.
So, was there something that you felt was dormant in your life that the Lord brought back to life?
I wouldn't say it was dormant. It was a sense of feeling like the Lord wasn't always present. You know, we tend to depend on our feelings rather than what we know to be true. And especially as a new believer, I had a lot of feelings. Like I felt the Lord's presence around me many times. But there were times in my life during that time period where I was trying to just learn more about who he is, where I felt like I didn't hear anything and I didn't feel anything. So, what I ended up doing was leaning on my own understanding and doing things through my own works in the hopes of getting his attention and going back to that feeling.
Okay. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
performance, you mean? Or
100%.
okay.
100%.
Like, how are you performing?
Man, I mean, I was trying to ignite his attention in my way by tithing in a astronomical way, right? Or I would, heavily get involved. I mean, I lived at my home church almost 7 days a week. I was there every day in the evening,
Wow.
serving relentlessly, you know, hoping that I would gain favor from the Lord.
Oh,
And you know, the heart posture was there. I really just wanted to see him and experience him every single moment of every day, but the intent the Lord had to remind me by taking me back to just times when I wasn't with him, where I didn't have the Lord in my heart, where he was like, I was still there even when you were not following me and not looking my way. Do you think I would abandon you now that you have chosen to choose me? Like, no, I
mhm.
won't abandon you, you know? So those were the things that the Lord was reminding me of. So yeah,
And that we don't have to work for it. Jesus has already done the work for us.
all the work, all the work. And it makes your life so much easier once you've come to that
Yeah.
realization.
Well, sure, and that had to be exhausting going into church every night. I mean, how was that on your family?
Yeah, I was completely drained. And here's the kicker, my relationship with the Lord actually became a struggle because I couldn't sit in his presence because I was so busy working.
Yeah.
So it was
Yes.
very counterproductive, and the Lord just told me, like, "I want relationship. I want you."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what on the podcast, we just talk about that a lot. You know, he wants to be in relationship with us. We don't have to be doing all these things for him, but what we do, he wants to be a part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Mimi, you also are the founder of the Legacy Project. What is the Legacy Project?
Yeah, so the legacy project is probably the best part of what I do because it really aligns with where I feel God has purposed me towards.
Mhm.
But it all kind of stemmed through the publishing company. I work with a lot of people who want to tell their story, in particular, a lot of elderly and people who know that they are reaching the end of their life. I've worked with quite a few, and people in my team have worked with quite a few. But the Legacy Project is taking a book, but going a step further. And that is through being able to record 3 sessions, and it is on camera where we do like an interview format of recordings, and then what we do is we take the recordings and create like a documentary.
Mhm.
I like to associate it with a Netflix documentary because I love documentaries, on Netflix, so it's similar to that, where we even get pictures and old videos of that person, and it's like paying homage to their life, but
Okay.
then we also take those recordings and create a keepsake book that they could provide to their family and friends and even publish if they want to.
Wow. It's making me think of the book of life that the Lord has for us in heaven, or there's we all have like a book, but we're making a
Yeah.
book here on earth, you know,
Yeah,
to
exactly.
leave behind. So, why do you think it's important to leave a spiritual legacy for your family and future generations?
Well, I think for 2 very important reasons. First and
Mhm.
foremost, there are questions that even you may not remember or even think about to ask your loved one, right? And unfortunately, when they leave this life, you'll never be able to get that question answered. The
Yeah.
Legacy Project provides you with that sense of closure and also gives you answers that you never even thought to ask the questions to. But in addition to that, I believe that the Legacy Project, what I have seen is it also breaks chains and barriers in individual lives. Sometimes what you'll find is what your loved one has gone through, you may have gone through or will go through. And God
Sure.
is real and true and right today, yesterday, and forever, right? And so
Yeah.
when we can see our loved ones who God has brought them through these things, you have the confidence to say, if the Lord got my mother or grandmother or whoever out of this, I know God will get me through this. So it's a way to testify about the goodness of God and leaving that to your family. I'm telling you, it is a gift, and I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah. And I would think that also when you say you're watching a legacy video that maybe your mom did and she's passed away, because my mom just passed away last year. And we had some struggles. We were very different, but we loved each other. I always knew she loved me, and everything ended up being fine in the end. But since then, even just seeing some pictures of her that I have found, like when she was in high school, that I'd never seen before, I am seeing her in a totally different light. Like, you start to realize why they were the way they were. They were a product of how they were brought up or how they were parented or the things that they went through, and my mom used to be so critical of my school pictures. Like, you get your picture every year at school. She'd be like, "Oh,
Mhm.
Dana, oh gosh," I'm like, which made me feel terrible. But I mean, she wasn't wrong. And then she wouldn't buy the picture. And when I saw a picture of her in high school when she was a sophomore, I was like, "Oh my gosh, her eyes are closed. She has the worst haircut. She has cat-eyed glasses." I'm like, "Mom, you were just trying to help me, like, because she
Oh,
went through this." Like, she was always trying to help me, like, look better.
yeah, no, that's amazing.
Uh Yeah, so
That's
there was, like,
super.
some healing in that. Like, I have so
Yeah.
much forgiveness for her now and understanding. I'm like, "Okay, I'm not perfect either. I'm a mom. I get it." You know?
Yep, yep. And it's funny, that specific story that you just provided is what we hear over and over. Man, I had a client who his father was an entrepreneur and all he knew was the success of his father. And his father used to really like drill into him, like, you got to do things a certain way. You have to be on your P's and Q's. And they were extremely estranged for a while. They ended up making amends before he passed away, but we
Okay.
did this project with him, and the father shared that his first few businesses ended up putting him into a position where he had to file for bankruptcy. And so he never told his son that. And his son was like, first and foremost, and now I understand why he would drill in my mind how to manage my business. And he had so much understanding and grace and realizing, like, man, he made an amazing business by doing things a certain way because he experienced what it looked like to do things the wrong way? So there is a lot
Yeah.
of healing in that. Yeah.
And you're trying to spare your kids from the things that you went through, and it's all out of love. Even if it doesn't come across that way, I think there's good intent, usually.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any other cool stories you can, share about people who've done the legacy project? And maybe talk a little bit more about you said it's 3 sessions, you record people, you make a documentary. Is there anything else about that process you wanna share?
Yeah. We also, if the family wants to get involved and provide their own footage to be part of the interview process, we also include them. Um, I would say probably the birth of this business came from us recording a session with a woman, and it was for a book. It wasn't even for a video. And we did a series of recordings. She was an elderly woman, and she ended up passing away before the book was published. And so she had shared that she wanted her book to go to her daughter, who she had not spoken to for about 10 years.
Okay.
And so we went on the hunt trying to find her daughter, and then eventually we found her daughter and gave her the book. We went ahead and published it and everything for her. And her daughter asked us if she could get the recordings of us getting the information for her book. And so we gave her the recordings, and she was completely in awe just hearing her mom's voice telling these things, because you could hear the tone, the joy at some points, the grief at other points, just by
Oh,
hearing her story. And she made a comment like, I just wish I could have seen her face. So I feel like that was a seed, right? Where the Lord was just
sure.
saying to me, like, pay attention. And so fast forward, a good friend of mine, and she lives in South Carolina, and her grandmother lives in Maryland. And she knew what I did for individuals for books. So she said, hey, do you mind going to visit my grandmother and just, record her story for me, because I won't be able to make it out there anytime soon. So I was close with her grandmother as well, and I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I video record this?" Because I thought it would be cool to create, like, give her a video rather than
Sure.
just the voice recording, and recorded the videos for fun, and me not thinking anything about this, right, for fun. I go on
Okay.
and I find, like, someone who could put all the videos I created for her and create a compilation of her story, you know? And so I had not finished that project, but her grandmother did pass away. And right before the funeral, I was like, hey, I created this for your grandmother and for you. And so her daughter played it at the wake. And my God, when I talk about just faces full of joy, full of tears, of excitement, of love, and full of closure, and it just was such a blessing, and I just knew at that point, like, this is what I need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is really important. You're leaving a spiritual legacy. It's like you're putting your book into action, your words into action. And, it got me curious. I'm like, I'm gonna look up and see what it says in the Bible about leaving a legacy. Does it talk about that? And it does. I mean, it talks about, it's important, like principles behind it, it's spiritual inheritance. You're teaching the next generation. It's like you're transmitting your faith, kind of sharing your faith. Um, I think it's really cool. Like in Proverbs 13:22, it says, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children on
Right.
the opposite spectrum, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous.
Yep.
um, but, like this legacy, it extends beyond the money that you make or the things that you do to just kind of your moral and spiritual values. And, I mean, that's you can't put a price on that.
Mm-mm. I was listening to a pastor a few weeks ago, and he talked about the story of Josiah and how his father, Josiah's father, and father's father, they were just in sin. I mean, they were idolatrous. They were, but Josiah stumbled on a book that David wrote, and he
Mhm.
decided that King David was going to be his true father, and he went ahead and used all of that, and it just shows how important it is for us to leave something like that. He never even met King David, but he stumbled on what his writings, what the Lord had done in David's life, and he said, "I choose this heritage," you know? And that's what we're doing, like, For the children that are yet to be born, it is important that those children know their family's heritage and what the Lord has done, you know? So yeah.
That is a great example. So Josiah's great, 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 grandpa,
Yep.
David, who was a great king. I mean, he was a great king. I mean, he had his issues. And then Solomon was good after him, and there were some other good ones. But
Yeah,
Josiah, man, he was like a reformer.
that's
He
right.
brought all that stuff back, and you can look back and see like, oh, this was in my family. Wow. Or maybe that is kind of why I am the way I am. Or I feel like my grandma, my mom's mom, she was really strong in her faith, and her dad was a pastor, and I just feel like I've got a lot of my grandma in me, you know? It's pretty cool.
Did you know your
And
grandmother?
I did. She died when I was right before I turned 10, but,
Okay.
I just have great memories of her, I just compared to my other grandma was not fun at all, and, like, I mean, I loved her too, but this grandma was always like, "Hey, how about a big smackaroo?" And just spent time playing games with me and my sister, and she was just a ton of fun, and she loved the Lord. Gosh, she spent such a seriously, like, a spiritual legacy in amongst her grandchildren. Just her.
Wow, that's amazing.
Tell me a little bit more, before I let you go, who are your clients exactly?
Yeah, usually it's the family members that contract our work for their loved ones, but I want to make this clear that it's not just for people at the end of their life. You know, we want to
Yeah.
really get in front of people who believe that that is important to leave to their family. So, that is my effort of why I'm even on podcasts because I want to make people know about what's available and believe that this is important at any stage in your life. And even we could even do a progression, what your story looked like at maybe 30, 40, or even 50, and really get that raw information and images and videos that can really bring light to your life. So,
Yeah, and then
yeah.
you can see how young you used to look and how old you look now.
Exactly.
Wow, that sounds great, Mimi.
Yeah.
So, are are you doing this for yourself? I hope?
I honestly I have not. I just recently recorded my father's, to be honest with you, and I sat there, doing my father's video, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, there's 1,000 things I do not know about you, dad." So, it was an absolute blessing to do my father's, and my mother is going to be next, and, they're
Yeah.
they're still pretty young, in their 60s, and it's exciting. It's exciting, yep. But I should do one for myself. Yeah.
It's free for you, Mimi, so
Yeah.
you should totally do that.
For sure.
So, where can we find out more about you and the Legacy Project?
Well, our main website is the one and only publishing, .com with the number 1 in that, and then if you wanted to learn more about the Legacy Project, you just have to put legacy dot the one and only publishing.com.
Okay, and where can we find your book? On your website, or is it on Amazon, or
It's on all platforms, so
Okay.
Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, any platform that sells a book, you'll find it. Testified Steps.
Testified Steps. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, wow, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really, really love what you're doing. I've made several videos for, like, big birthdays and after we've had some, family members pass, and so I've kinda done my own little tiny legacy thing, but yours is on steroids and sounds really amazing.
Thank you. I love that you're doing that, Dana. You should continue.
It's fun. I'm just, I guess, waiting for the next big birthday and hopefully no deaths coming. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that's all that I have for today. If you enjoyed this episode with Meme Mulugeta, please be sure to share it with a friend right now from your phone or from your laptop, your computer. Share it, I'd appreciate it. And be sure to follow Good Enough for God on Facebook and Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can follow or subscribe on the platform where you're listening as well. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, as well as many other streaming platforms. New episodes typically release on Wednesdays. So until next time, I'm Dana, and remember that God is good, and you are good enough for God.